What happens, Dave?
Uh,
Oh,
it's just recording.
it's recording now. Yeah. So
So does that
okay, if
mean
you
you can
can't,
record it?
no, if you're recording it now, and I have to request permission, so I'm guessing that you're the only one who can record.
All right. We'll find a way around that. I think it's better. I'm sure there's a way that multiple people can record because
Yeah.
it seems like a bad idea to only
Yeah,
have,
only one person.
especially like, I mean, we're just talking, but like people that actually do podcasts. You imagine doing a 2-hour podcast and then having to do it again because a
Oh.
computer crashed midway or some shit.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, time limit. We're only doing this for 20 minutes, right?
I'm down.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it.
All
Yeah.
right, I'm just gonna do a quick timer for 20 minutes.
Okay.
So Dave, you'll thing. Chris, you go seconds.
All right.
Ramon third, and I'll go fourth.
Cool.
All right. And so, yeah, go for it.
All right. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to bonding time. My name is, the name is Hutchinson, David Hutchinson. And these are my co-hosts.
I'm Greenwich. Christopher Greenwich.
The name's Patrick. Ramon Patrick.
And I'm Chu, Jonathan Chu. That doesn't work with my name. It doesn't. There's no.
It's close. It's close.
It's not good. It's not good. Very nice, Ramon. Very nice. Very nice.
Nice.
Very appropriate.
That is very appropriate, yeah.
I feel like if
Yeah.
I now I feel
That was
I feel like
hot,
if I-
man. When you said your name, man. Dear God.
I feel like if Ramon has the best background, and now I need to get a background like that because
Good.
Yeah, we need to investigate this so that we can each pick like Bond-centric backgrounds.
True. I was actually looking for one that was actually in scene, but like nothing's popping.
Yeah.
up.
How do I put Octopussy behind me? Okay. Figure that out. It's okay.
I did consider that with this one girl actually, but
All right, guys. So we're here and we're discussing the first Bond movie starring Sean Connery in Doctor No.
Yes.
All right. So how are we going to start this off? We're ranking the opening. So what do you guys think of the opening?
I mean, it was very simple, but of course it was 1962. And it was very short with like women dancing in the background. But
Yeah.
you know, a little taste of things to come, how it would evolve. But yeah, it was nice, simple, straightforward. You know.
I thought it was pretty cool, like how, I mean, we've seen the, gun barrel thing, but it really sets it up, like Dario was over and he was like, what's this? And I was like, isn't it obvious? I mean, they scrolled over and he shot at the screen, like, you know what that is, like, but I like that, like it set that up. And it was cool because that was the first one. And it reminded me, Sean Connery is one of my favorite Bonds. Like, he is definitely, I forgot, I haven't seen a Sean Connery Bond in so long. That was great.
Yeah, I think the key thing is that gun barrel sequence because growing up, I just associated that with Bond, that little like circle logo.
Yeah.
oh no, and it is clear because once again, this was how the first Bond started. But
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
kind of skeptical like rating it because this is how they're starting it out and just thought of it as an idea to go ahead with. But even then, it is simple, it is clean, and they started with the very iconic gun barrel shot at the very beginning.
And it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Who thought of that? Who thought to put a camera down a gun barrel and shoot through it?
Yeah.
Shoot Sean Connery walking. That's such an innovative idea.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, and you know what? The other side to that is that there are so many things. I mean, we've watched a lot of them, so we kind of know what it looks like, the trajectory of a Bond movie. But there are so many things that are set up here that have consistently made it into other Bond movies. I mean, there's a pretty solid outline. I was thinking about it, and I was like, the one thing that this movie didn't do that a lot of other movies do is like he's super international and he goes all over the world. In one movie, I feel like if he circumnavigates the world twice, and like this one was cool because he said in Jamaica, which I forgot that this movie is set in Jamaica.
Yeah, I love the best part of the opening scene was the three blind mice, and you just see like the shot of Jamaica.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like it's cool how they use the themes from the movie in the opening sequence, and you know that's something that they kept for the other movies that would follow.
Yeah.
So I like that. You know, you have that silhouette of the three blind mice.
Yeah.
You know, in the opening titles, so it's kind of cool.
It was actually shot in Jamaica though, because that's what I was trying to figure out if it was like legitimately shot in Jamaica.
I think it was because Ian Fleming loved Jamaica.
Yeah,
I think really?
That the first Bond movie was set in Jamaica because he wrote all of the novels there.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
His house is called Goldeneye.
Absolutely epic.
All right, so that was openings. Now, next, what was the best one-liner in the movie?
Oh, of course, you know. I mean, Bond it's a chase scene. Bond's being chased by a hearse, and he gets away, and then the hearse tries to avoid something in the road, ends up running down the hill, and bursts into flames. And then Bond comes in and is like, well, no, somebody on the road turns to Bond and is like, oh, what happened? And Bond is like, I think they were going to a funeral or something like that.
They were late for a funeral, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
That was actually my pick as well. Like straight up, when I heard that, I was just like, Jesus. Why?
I don't know what you guys think. Like,
I agree with you 100%.
What? Okay, my favorite one was when he's in the boat right after he kills the geologist and is like, well, you know, we're going to this island. It's going to be a great vacation. And, you know, they ask him, so what are you on vacation for? Like, running for the women? No, is it? No, from being I'm on vacation from being a clay pigeon. And I'm like, that is hilarious. For being shot at, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was wild. Just because it was so subtle and smooth.
I missed that one. Holy shit. Nice. Oh my god.
I remember it to some extent, but I mean, like, come on, the funeral, they were in a hearse and they ran off the road. They went into a gully. Like, that was hilarious. What about you, Dave? What do you think?
I don't get me wrong. I think that's a great line, but I'm like, it is not delivered in the Bond style that this one was.
So
because it
was being a clay pigeon, guys.
That I remember the clay pigeon one. Now that you mentioned it, but it wasn't on my mind before. But I'm torn between two. There's one that I think is just super iconic, and tells the audience what kind of character Bond is, which is when he's waiting for the professor, I think his name is in the movie, to come to the girl. So the girl basically from the government agency, you know, told him, oh yeah, come over. So Bond came over knowing it was probably a trap and, you know, slept with her, called the people to come pick her up. So now he's just there waiting. And the guy comes in, shoots the bed. And the thing is, first of all, he's just there waiting, playing solitaire. Like, that's so badass. And then the guy comes in, shoots the bed, turns around, and Bond is there just waiting. So the guy's there sweating, picks up the gun, shoots, realizes he has no clips. And Bond is there just, you know, he doesn't even look up at first when the guy shoots. He looks up after, and it just is like, that's a Smith & Wesson, and you've had your six. And then, boom, shoots. To me, that's the first kill Bond ever made in the movie. And I didn't think about this at first, but, you know, we think Daniel Craig's Bond is so rough around the edges. But think back to be in the 60s and the hero of the movie shoots an unarmed man. Like, that was shocking for the time. For a movie to do that, that took balls. So it's just like Bond, that's so the character of what Bond is.
I mean, technically he was armed, still had the
Yeah,
gun in
he just
hand.
like
Technically.
he just couldn't fight back anymore. He fought. He just couldn't fight back anymore.
But it's you know what I find funny about that, because I just rewatched Star Wars. So John, you may agree or disagree with me, but it's interesting because George Lucas was worried about audiences' reaction to Han Solo shooting Greedo in the thing. So the whole like hand shot first, but
Yeah.
look at what Bond did 15 years earlier. It's crazy that they had the balls to do that.
So that I get where you're saying, like they had the balls to do that. That's not that big a deal to me. Like it's not. I know people talk about that's the reason why Daniel Craig's Bond, by the way, ranks so high for me, because he reminds me of Sean Connery. To me, Sean Connery is James Bond. Yes, there are other James Bonds, but Sean Connery is the quintessential James Bond, and Daniel Craig comes the closest to that. That what I think is funny about you picking that line though is that to me that's not even like that's just Sean Connery being Sean Connery. Yeah, it is a one-liner, I guess, but when I think one-liners, I think like funny one-liners. That wasn't that. That was just him being a dick. That was just him like,
Just for me, it's
you're
so
stupid.
iconic.
You're stupid, and you shot all your bullets, and now I'm gonna kill you. Like that's just Sean Connery being Sean Connery as James Bond, and he happens to be a dick.
I could see that one.
I will agree.
Yeah.
That is a good scene though, because I remember when I was rewatching it, I forgot about that scene. There's so many. I forgot a lot of good parts about this movie. I think I'm happy that I haven't watched it in so long, that this was like surprisingly great.
Yeah, I really appreciated Dr. No this time around. Like,
Yeah.
it was really good.
Yeah, I didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I don't remember enjoying Dr. No as much as I did in this rewatch for sure. It's
Definitely.
a very simple movie, and I think it's better for it.
Yeah.
But like
Very straightforward.
between Dr. No and Bond, like all the elements of the Bond movie are there, and they all work really well.
I agree. Well, not the thing for me is they didn't jump around a lot, and I feel like if that's a very Bond thing to do, like you're here one day, you're there the next day, like they didn't jump around as much, and I miss it, but I kind of enjoyed the fact that it was, like you said, simple. Like it was much more simplified. Like you don't have to
No,
remember,
I
they're in
agree, 'cause
Cairo,
once
then
again-
they're in Japan.
Right.
That's an interesting point. So I think what would be interesting is as we're going through this rewatch, we kind of map out where Bond's been.
Yeah.
Like, for each movie.
Oh yeah.
It'd be,
Oh god, that's gonna be.
I'm trying to think like another
That's quite a
movie
bit.
where it's only one location. I can't really think of any.
Well, it wasn't really one location because he did start in London. He did start in Europe, and then he traveled to Jamaica. But that was it. Like he traveled to Jamaica, and that was it.
Yeah.
What was your second one-liner? Because you said you were torn between two.
Oh well, the second one you'll like better because this one is just funny. Where Honey Rider comes out of the ocean, and she's like, "What are you doing here? Are you looking for shells?" I was like, "No, just looking."
Yeah.
Oh, Bond, you definitely.
That was actually a quintessential Bond line too, actually.
Yeah, that one's pretty good. But my vote is hands down. They're going to a funeral. Like that. There's nothing better than that. I mean, besides the fact that
That's
three men
definitely the
died.
funniest line in the movie. The funniest one-liner in the movie for sure.
Yeah, that.
That shit. I mean, the man in a fucking hearse, dog. Like,
That's hands down that was my favorite one-liner. After hearing all of you guys, which one, Dave, Ramon, did you change your vote? Are you gonna come with us? You're gonna join the dark side?
I mean, like it's a group vote, and 2 out of 4.
Yeah, I think two out of four is the majority vote on that one.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We win. We win. All right. So let's move on to the Bond girl. What do you think about the Bond girl in this one?
So is it Bond girl or Bond girls? Who do we just discuss one Bond girl? Because Honey Rider is, I think, the main Bond girl of the movie, and I think the most
Yeah.
iconic. But Sylvia Trench, I think, needs a special mention because she's the first Bond girl you see that Bond interacts with, and she has some good lines, like when she says, Bond asks her, "What does she do other than play cards?" And she says, "I play golf amongst other things," and then gives him a wink. And then he shows up in his room later that night and she's playing golf in his room with his shirt on and nothing else.
Yeah.
This is like crazy. But I think Honey Rider is definitely the quintessential Bond girl of this movie for sure.
No, so I guess we can discuss we'll just discuss the women of the movie because Honey Rider is without a doubt the Bond girl in this movie. If there is
100%.
if there's a Bond girl, she is the Bond girl in this movie. I mean, even her entrance, her like walking out of the sea, like she is the Bond girl.
That was just
you know.
setup.
It's
in the two-piece too. Like, I mean, back then, I'm sure that was
yeah.
like, I'm sure that was like real back then.
Shocking. Yeah.
You know, today that's like, oh, okay. But
It's funny because I feel like if it's like, I mean, grand scale of Bond, every Bond movie, there's always multiple women. There's always like, I feel like if there's always the Bond hookups and then there's the Bond like wifey, like there's always the Bond girl. There's a bunch of different hookups and then there's like the Bond
Quintessential one, yeah.
girl. Yeah, there's always one girl who like rises to the top because forget what was her name, Dave?
Sylvia Trench.
Sylvia Trench, right? Again, she was just like a hookup for me. I mean, there's usually an evil one. Miss Taro for me, she was the funniest one because I think she was supposed to be a little bit Asian. And I'm like, you don't look Asian. All of the people who are supposed to look Asian in this movie did not look Asian at all. Like I could not stop laughing at that, right? And also, for a movie set in Jamaica, there were like scarily few black people. I remember, Dave, you were talking about the black guy dancing at the club, and I was just
that was
like,
such a funny scene. I loved that.
when I actually watched it, and I realized why he was dancing like that because he's like, I'm the only black guy here. They're going to lynch me. Like, there's like, I'm in my country. Why am I the only black person here? And I was just like that because there was a couple of times I was like, are they still in Jamaica? Because I feel like if there's a lot of white people and Asian people supposed to be Chinese people for a Jamaican movie. This is very odd.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you had Quarrel. He was like the token in the movie.
The token. He was for sure the token. He was all token, dog.
Nah. But yeah, Bond girls. For me as well. Yeah, Honey Rider, definitely the main one for this movie. Yeah, and I guess I would view Sylvia Trench and Miss Taro. Yeah, kind of like. Yeah, I mean their roles weren't as substantial. I don't know if I'd view them as Bond girls per se, but I guess then that's the question. Like, how do you define Bond girls? Do you define them as just girls, you know, if they hook up with Bond or something? Does that?
No, I think Miss Taro would count as a Bond girl just because like she did pique Bond's interest and like Bond was actually into her at the time. It's clear on the other hand, like that was clearly trap to an end. Like that was a trap. He went in and was like, okay, I'm gonna play this for all I have and move on.
This is what we're going to do. We're going to discuss all the women in the movie, and then we're going to decide who the quintessential Bond girl is for each movie. And, I mean, again, there's no doubt it's Honey Rider. But my thing about Miss Taro is that I don't even know if I guess she's a Bond girl, but she's more of a villain than anything else. She was evil, dude. Like, she was such a... When he... Did he slap her? And when he put her in the car and she spun in his face. I was like, dude, that is so rude. Like, you are so
Dude.
rude.
I mean, she got played then, man. Like he played her nice. She could handle that.
I'm like wondering when he knew she was playing him, because she
From
talks
the beginning.
No,
From
I know,
the very beginning.
but she
Like when
tells
he
him
went
his
to the
phone
door,
and
I
is
think she
like-
was like, "Oh, you're here."
She tells the guy, okay, I'll keep him here for a couple hours. And then when they start fooling around, Bond checks his watch. Like he's checking that he has enough time to fool around before fooling around. It's like, it never left his mind. So it's not like, oh, he's like every other guy who lets, his dick do the thinking. He was like, nope, I have time. Let's do this.
Yeah, his dick might not have been doing the thinking, but it was definitely in play at that point. Like that was a mutual taking advantage of. It's just that she happens to just be like a secretary and not realizing who she's dealing with, because that was a mutual. She was trying to play him, he was trying to play her. This is the reason why it worked out so great. They're both stupid.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah. What I liked about the writer as well is she played damsel in distress a little bit, but she also kind of held her own. Like she wasn't completely worthless. I really like that about her, because in the beginning,
I actually agree. I expected to pull that like the full damsel in distress mode, but no,
yeah,
she was pretty badass.
And here's the reason why I'll say that is because as her introduction, she is a woman on a not deserted island, but on a secluded, sketchy island collecting shells. I was like, you're an idiot. Like, why are you here?
Oh
like,
no!
are you
Remember, she gave the reason. 50 US was a lot back then. I'm assuming. Per shell.
A girl gotta eat, man.
I genuinely was like, you're collecting shells? Like get a real job. Like,
yeah. Like that backstory is a little paper thin there.
Oh yes.
She's basically a beach walker, by the way. Like she's basically one of those people with like metal detectors, just like hoping to find buried treasures up there, like retarded. But in the end, she held her own. So I'm like, I'll give her props for that. But I was very like not impressed with her introduction and her like reason for being there.
The thing I wasn't impressed about her is there was a scene where, and the movie just completely glossed this over, but she basically tells Bond that her landlord raped her, and then that she put a tarantula in his bed and it took him a week to die. And Bond's reaction has like, they just gloss over the fact, oh, you were raped. It's like, oh no, you shouldn't make a habit of that with the spider.
Yeah.
Don't And it was just like, damn. And then she was legit. She was like, oh, did I upset you, kind of thing. It's like, did I upset you by saying I killed someone with a spider? And she was so genuine. It's like, woman, you were raped. You're totally justified in doing that shit.
That was my part about it, is that there's so many levels to like why she would upset me, because the tarantula thing is, yeah, that's weird to start with, but like your backstory, first of all. But think about it though, there's a lot of stuff that's normalized in this movie that's not okay. Like again,
once again, period piece at the time, like this is this is back. This is way back. I'm giving it that.
I really there's so many things when we talk about like toxic masculinity. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
This movie, there's a
Bond be manhandling these women back
seriously,
like wrapping them up, pulling them. I'm like, damn.
Seriously,
not acceptable in today's.
Exactly.
Not just that, even the way that he was like talking to the men and stuff, like it was very, you are here to serve me sort of thing. That I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like, when they land on that island, he's just like, he just tells Quarrel, he doesn't even ask. He's just like, hide the boat. And then he walks off. And he's like, not can you hide the boat? It's just, no.
The one that had me was like, fetch my shoes.
Yes. Yo, when he said that line, I was like, you have to be wrong. You kidding me? He did not.
Okay, this is way back. I'll give it a nod.
For sure. I like there's a lot of stuff there that I was like, okay, so we're not even, and it's not even I carry myself with important sort of thing. It's like, yeah, this is the strata. This is the caste system. This is how it's going. Cool. Know where you at?
Yeah, because his
I would-
interactions with Felix Leiter are totally different.
Totally. Absolutely.
If his interaction with Felix was the same way, then they could get a pass. But you can see the difference between his interaction with Coral and his interaction with Felix.
I also did not remember that Felix was in this movie.
Me either.
Me
to be
neither,
honest.
actually. But he wasn't
Yeah.
in it for long, really.
Yeah, he was,
Much
and that's what I'm saying. There's so many things in this movie that they set up and then they ran with later on. I don't know if they.
Anyway, it's really all the way it just kept on building. And
Yeah.
even now, like this still ranks pretty highly in my book in comparison.
Talking about that, I mean, of course, there's that one scene where you first get introduced to Bond in the casino, I think it is, and Sylvia Trench is sitting across from him. But that scene in the casino, like that helped establish, pretty much all of what we associate with Bond.
True.
High stakes casino games. Beautiful women. What else? Like, Bond's, his, what's the word? His smoothness.
Yeah.
With how he talks to women.
His swag, dude. His swag.
Swag. He's in a suit. Yeah, his swag. Yeah, that's it.
Not gonna lie, everything John said, all that toxic masculinity.
All that toxic masculinity, though. All that toxic masculinity. And so here's what I'll give Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig he captures the essence of that. Less toxic masculinity, though. He's not as toxic in comparison. Like, I love Sean Connery. Like I said, he's the quintessential Bond for me. But I think that Daniel Craig has a way of doing those things and us recognizing that it's not as toxic. He's confident. He's confident. He's not a dick about it, though.
Right.
He's on the verge of being a dick, but he's not a dick about it.
Me personally, I don't get that vibe from Daniel Craig, but I guess.
What vibe do you get from Daniel Craig, man?
He's definitely not a dick Bond. Like, he's definitely
no, but that's what I mean. That's what I said, though. He's got that essence in terms of like he's got the swag, but he's not a dick about it. He doesn't need to be an asshole to be in control, Whereas Sean Connery, I mean, hey, if he played that character today, maybe it'd be very different. But seeing it, like, he's very much, I am here. You are here. Know your place. Do not talk to me a certain. And he literally, like, if he doesn't like the way that you talk to him, he will slap you in your face. Like, you saw him do it.
Oh, dude.
He's like, he's very much woman, whatever. Like, he will slap you in your face and be like, "Yeah, know your place."
I know. Oh,
Every Bond has that moment where they do something like that. Like even Roger Moore, which I would say was the most gentleman
Nicest?
Bond.
Mhm.
Like I still remember in Man with the Golden Gun, he like twists the arms woman and literally backhands her like twice.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is Roger Moore doing this.
Yeah. And
yes.
so
This is true.
Remember that.
what's interesting about that is that you say most gentlemanly, and I do think that Bond is a gentleman at heart. He is a gentleman character. That's who Bond is. But he's got this rough side. I think Roger Moore is more nice guy. He's the nicest guy. And he's still doing that. So, like...
Yeah, I mean, just I guess the way, the writers who are writing this character,
Yeah.
hey, you guys might want to change some of that up, guys.
He's even worse in the book. Like I listened to
Really?
Raker, and just like because you hear his thoughts, and it's just like how he thinks about women.
Yeah.
Is very, very
Chauvinistic.
masochistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Chauvinistic.
all right.
There you go.
So...
Based on the
Oh,
times.
yeah. What are you going to say, Ramon?
No, so once again, based on the times, like
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a point. But still, like, someone watching this in 2020, you can see, so that's where that came from. So people were legitimately like just slapping women and thinking that it's okay. But and again, if she spat in my face, I'd probably want to slap her too. But like,
I don't know, man. If
Yeah.
if a woman spat on my face, it may be a reflex. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
anyhow,
Yeah.
so we ranked all of those. Obviously, they're going to be at the top rank because this is the first Bond movie that we've watched. But ranking out of 1 to 10, what would you guys give this movie?
I would give this. I mean, I'd probably give this a 7. Of course, first movie sets up, all of the things that we associate with Bond today. And I thought it does that well. His swagger with women, gambling, risk taking. We have the Bond girl. We have the villain. Now that's the one thing. That's why I guess I give it a 7. I would give it a little higher if the villain was a little better. I thought the villain in this was a little bit not very memorable. And then his fight with Bond in the end is, to me, a little anticlimactic. I mean, Bond just tussles with him for like a few seconds, and then he falls into a puddle of water or something.
Although he can't lift himself out.
He's
No,
not the Wicked Witch of
I
the
actually,
East, Chris.
Yeah.
Huh? What is it?
I said he's not the Wicked Witch of the East that just melts once Dorothy puts water on him.
But yeah, I mean, and the story's like, the story isn't very like crazy ridiculous. It's very simple. But yeah, I'd give it about a 7. I thought it was well done overall. Actually, you know what? I'd increase that to an 8. I think it was
There you go.
very well done overall. It keeps your attention. It's not jumping around all over the place. And establishes Connery as Bond as a very, very, very good Bond. So, yeah, 8 out of 10.
Roman, what do you think?
I'm gonna agree with Chris for the 8 out of 10, and I actually kind of like the villain and how it ended, just because even at the end it was kind of just like Bond. It was whimsical and kind of funny because at the end, like, he tried pulling himself up, and since he doesn't actually have hands that can grip the thing, it was just like, oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, died in a classic Bond fashion. Pretty funny way.
They set up so many things in this movie, dog. They set up
Yeah.
so many things in this movie.
I wanted to give it a 9 or 10, but at the same time, like, there are movies that done it better, so I can't really.
You can
that, so.
you can give them 9s and 10s too. Just because you give a 9 to someone doesn't mean you can't give a 9 to someone later.
That
But
doesn't
we'll
leave
take
much room though.
we'll take your
So I'm
8.
gonna
though.
stay at 8, maybe 8.5. 8.
What do you think, David?
I'm gonna go with it 8 as well. I actually don't. I think the villain was really good, like the setup, because
Yeah.
you see the professor guy go to the island even though he's not supposed to, and then he goes in the room, and you just hear like Dr. No speak to him. So it like sets up the suspense. Is like, who's the villain? The movie's called Dr. No. You hear about this guy on an island. No one's allowed to go there. There's a dragon there. What the hell is that?
I know.
So it's like his character is built up so much, and I just think that's really cool. I can understand why at the end, because of all the build up, maybe to Chris's point, he was a little underwhelming at the end because he had so little screen time. But I think the build up and like the dinner scene where Bond and Honey are at dinner with him, he's just such a menacing presence at the table that I think all of that was brilliant. Then Bond escapes and then does what Bond does, which is make a fool out of the villain. But I think up to that point, the villain was definitely top class.
I especially that he was a smart villain to the point where like none of the doors had bad knobs, so you can't escape. And even when he was trying to escape through like the vent, the vents are electrified.
Yeah.
I thought that really good.
I really like the fact that he got it looked like he was being waterboarded in the vent. I thought that was hilarious.
And it was hot water. I mean, you can see the steam coming off that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna give this a 9.
No, all right.
I was gonna give it
I see
I
why.
was gonna give it an 8, but I'm gonna give this movie a 9.
Mm.
Here's why, right? They set up so many good things.
Mhm.
I think if this movie weren't so good, we wouldn't still be talking about James Bond if this movie wasn't so good. This movie was really well put together. You guys talked about the villain. I think that he was a great villain. He did exactly what he needed to do. He was smart. He thought Bond was an idiot. He used people. And also he set up Spectre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
He-
true.
He
From the
mentioned
very
them.
That's
He
true,
mentioned
yeah.
that. He mentioned them, right? And so for me, he was like the perfect introduction villain. Like I didn't. We heard a little bit of his backstory of how he was like Asian mafia and blah 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 blah. Although he's very not Asian, like he did what he needed to do perfectly. His whole island was evil. Everything that he was doing was evil. Like it. I thought that he was a great villain just because he did what he needed to get done
Hmm.
effectively.
Exactly.
But
Quite
besides
agree.
the villain, like the Bond girls were good. Honey Rider was, like I said, her introduction was stupid, but eventually she held her own. All the other Bond women sufficiently. So you had the dumb hookup, which had to happen. You had the hookup that was actually evil. Both of them were playing each other, and then you had the actual Bond girl who was helpful in the end.
Hmm.
Did that well. Like there were so many things about this. They set up so many things. I really enjoyed. I didn't realize, and I think that was what was so memorable now for me because I forgot that so many of these things happened. I didn't remember. I'll admit, I didn't remember Doctor No.
Yeah.
Now I remember Doctor No. Now I remember. We'll see after like 10 movies if I still remember Doctor No. But like as it stands, he was a really good, even for the more recent movies, the villains. He was, although he was effective and short, he's more memorable now than a lot of those people because he was kind of a dick. Like the fact that I really enjoyed where he was talking to James Bond and he was like, I thought you were better than this. And he's basically like scolding him like a dad. Where it was like, I thought you were smarter than this. I really thought that you could be a part of our team. Like, why are you so worthless essentially? Like, this is a waste of my time now. You're just gonna go away and die. Okay, cool, whatever. And I mean, Bond obviously, comes back and like proves him wrong, but like I love that scene. Like them sitting down and even when Honey Rider and James Bond got drugged, I thought that was very like funny.
Oh, yeah. Holy shit.
Oh yeah,
So,
with the
I'll
coffee.
give this. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will give this a 9. I think this is a really good movie, and even if there are better Bond movies, this movie was incredibly good. It for a movie that is this old, it's incredibly good. I'm giving this a 9.
Hey,
Yeah. It's definitely timeless for sure.
Yeah.
So based off the 4 ratings, the panel has given Dr. No an average of 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that stacks up as we go through the rewatch.
All right. Well, I mean, I think that's pretty respectable for one of the better movies.
Yeah, that's definitely
Oh
one
yeah,
of them.
8.5 in my book. 8.5 is top class for a movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I mean, watching over Doctor No, you have to say, like, yeah, definitely one of the better ones for sure. Just stick to a simple formula when you're introducing characters, man, and you'll hit gold every time, man.
This I can't stress this enough though. This movie set up so many good things. There's so many little things in it that I was like, oh, they were doing that from the beginning, Like even the like storyline as it goes, where Bond is in London,
Yeah.
Bond hears about something happening, Bond travels to that place.
I'm on
Bond
my
tries
phone.
to break
Later.
Bond tries to break into the fortress island whatever thing headquarters of the evil guy. Evil guy captures Bond. Bond has to escape. Bond brings everybody. Like, this is the classic.
With the
Yeah,
Bond girl,
with
with
the
the
official
official Bond girl.
Like, this is the classic. Like, that's how it's played, you know. And I feel like if we wrote down that formula and like and see where each movie lines up with that format, I think we'd be surprised of how many movies are exactly like that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think I agree with that.
Yeah. Definitely agree as well.
All right, so Dr. No, a lovely 8.5. So we've got the next movie to come up. What's the next movie, Dave?
The next movie is From Russia with Love.
From
starring
Russia with
Sean
Love.
Connery
Yeah,
as James Bond.
and I think people call this definitely one of the best ones. I'm not sure.
I think,
Absolutely agreed.
In my
from
memory,
what I remember, this is a proper movie. All right, guys. So see you next week. Make sure you do your homework.
Definitely.
Same time.
yeah,
Will do.
Bond will be back.
Ready.
Until next time.